part C.2. Still, networking basics, domain servers. Here, so let me give you a little more background information so that you can understand a little more about the communication between clients and the servers. Yeah. So now this time, we need to go to another step forward. Yeah. If we know, so here the question. Yeah. Here the main question. From the previous video, we know we use an IP address to identify a server. So now the question, how do you get the IP address? Right? How do you get the IP address for a specific server? Yeah. So we need to solve that problem. Or, the system designers, they need to solve that problem. All right, so now locate a server. Yeah. The question, how can we locate a web server on the internet? Yeah, we know using IP address. Yeah, but that's still not enough. Still a lot of details behind it. Yeah. Can we use the IP address directly? Yeah, so the first question, can we use the IP address directly? So what's the meaning of this one? Yeah. Suppose you want to connect one particular server. Yeah. And someone tells you the IP address of that server. Okay, here I make this assumption. Yeah. Now, can you use the given IP address directly to connect to the remote server? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Okay, but it is not convenient. Yeah. How you type it under, web browser? Yeah, in a web browser. Yeah. So here, let me describe a little bit. Yeah. So in a web browser, yeah. Suppose you open web browser, you have a bar, URL bar, right? Think about that, URL bar. Yeah. At that URL bar, you type HTTP, the protocol, / then the specific IP address. Okay. Here, let me just, put some random numbers there. 1, 2, 3, dot. Remember, dot decimal numbers. 6, 5. 4 numbers between 0 and 225. 9, 6, dot. Still, 2, 3, 1. How about that? Okay. Suppose you have this IP address. So you type in this one, then you enter. Now, your browser will connect that particular server using this IP address. Okay? Yeah, you can get there if your IP address type it correctly. Yeah, you type it correctly, then you can connect to that server successfully. Okay? But the question, with this procedure, you can see it is not convenient. Here, I make assumption. Someone tells you that IP address. The question, who tells you that IP address? Right? Yeah. So right now, the convenience is very important. If it is not convenient, nobody will use this technology, right? Yeah. Nobody can memorize long list of IP addresses. Yeah. So this problem must be fixed in order to make web very useful for the community. Okay? All right. So now the solution. What is the solution? Yeah. So we notice the IP address is not human memorable. Okay, for a typical person, hard to memorize, so not human memorable. Okay, solution, we have similar solution before, so we just borrow it, modify a little bit, we can solve this problem. So solution, think about your address book, your phone book, address book. Yeah, so think about that. You have phone numbers, but not many people can memorize long list of phone numbers, right? Yeah, so that's the reason you use a phone book, name, numbers, list, yeah, so that kind of thing, right? Or, on your cell phone, somewhere you store, right? Yeah, in a very convenient way. Yeah. Now we need a similar thing for our IP addresses. Yeah. Similar to phone numbers, you can imagine we organize IP addresses in a similar way. Yeah. And corresponding to the name part, right? Yeah. We create domain names. Domain name for one server. Okay, for a server, right? For example, Google, Yahoo, right? Google, Yahoo, they have their domain names. Here, we use that concept, domain name concept, to make our life easier, our web surfing life easier, okay, through IP addresses. Yeah. The diagram like this one, here you can see pretty complicated, right? Yeah. In order to resolve the IP address, here you can see many rounds of communications needed between client and servers. Okay, yeah, so here, many rounds. But one concept here is used, DNS. DNS, domain name system. DNS servers, domain name system. Yeah, the whole structure, well organized. So organize the domain names, corresponding to all the IP addresses for the servers. So let us understand that structure in our next slide. Yeah. In this one, so let us understand the domain name system. Yeah. First, let's look at the definition. Yeah. DNS is the system that is used to translate, mapping. Yeah. So given one domain name, so www.yahoo.com, for example, www.google.com, right? So given a domain name, yeah. Translation, we want to get the corresponding IP address for that domain name. Yeah. So that's the meaning of translation. Yeah. To translate human memorable domain names, Google, Yahoo, UMSL.edu, those things, yeah, into the corresponding numeric IP addresses. That's the purpose of this DNS. Yeah. All right. So next, yeah, let me describe the structure, how it works. Then we use the diagram here to look at the, the whole working mechanism. Yeah. All right. So the domain name system is a hierarchical, yeah, organized in many different levels. Top level, hierarchical level, going down many levels. Yeah. Hierarchical and decentralized naming system. Decentralized, yeah. So that kind of information not just stored in one location. If we're in one location, then centralized, right? Decentralized in many different locations. Many different locations. So decentralized. Yeah. All right. Naming system for computers connected to the internet or a private network. Yeah. Including, so private network, you can still use the DNS. Yeah. All right. The top hierarchy of the DNS is served by the root name servers. Yeah. The top level. Yeah. So you have to start, root name servers. Okay. Yeah. Servers. S. So another one. Yeah. Another one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. As I know, 13 in the whole world. Yeah. So not just one. Yeah. All right. Root name servers. Starting from the root. Yeah. Then under that root, many levels, hierarchy structure. Yeah. So then the root name contains all top level domains. Top level. Yeah. The domain TLD of the internet. Many levels, yeah, top level. Because there are large number of domain names, you have to use multi-level hierarchy structure to organize them. Yeah. Here we do not need to know the details. Yeah. So we just know the general information. Yeah. All right. So when you make a request for anything related to the domain name, it gets sent to one of the name servers. Yeah. But in this diagram, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So you can see so many steps back and forth. Yeah. Back and forth. All right. Yeah. Here. 1, end user. Yeah. Send request. Yeah. Number 2, type domain name www.example.com. Then you send to DNS resolver. Okay, yeah. All right, so then root server, yeah, step 3, top level, you always start from the root, right? Yeah, root. Yeah. All right. So DNS root name server then will send, go to the name server to dot, yeah, because the last one, the last part of the domain name .com, many dot something, right? Yeah, many. So .com, you go to different place. .net, go to another place, right? Yeah. So .com, yeah, TLD, yeah. Then number 4, domain name servers for .com TLD, all right? Yeah. So then go to another place, then you come back, back and forth several times. At the end, you get the right IP address. Yeah. Depends on, what level the IP address is stored in the hierarchy structure. Okay, yeah. So, but at the end, IP address is sent back. Yeah. All right. So now your client machine, after you receive the correct real IP address, then the browser will automatically use that IP address and send the request to the server in a hidden way. You cannot see it. You, as an end user, you cannot see the IP address. Yeah. All those things happen behind the scene. Yeah. All right, yeah. So that kind of, lot of steps happen behind the scene after that. In response, the DN server sends back IP address. Yeah. After the IP address is received, then the browser can send your request to the real server directly. That's the resolver procedure. The whole DNS resolver procedure. Okay? Yeah. So with this background, yeah, although in our web programming, we don't need this background, right? Why we need this background in our web programming? Yeah. But if you have a little bit background like this, yeah, so then many times you can understand, something that you feel strange, right? Yeah, something you feel it's quite strange. Yeah. So with a lot of basics, the background like this, then you can interpret many things. Yeah. All right, so let me finish here for our video C.2.